So good morning to again for the lecture. Hello. Are you listening? Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. So today we are going to discuss the income statement ratios. After the balance sheet ratio, the income ratios are to be calculated for the analysis of the income statement. So just I am giving you the notes today, the formulas of various income statement ratios, and then we can start the problems in the next period. So give the heading income statement ratios. Income statement ratios. Underline. Underline. These ratios are. These ratios are highlighted the relationship. Highlighted the relationship between the two items in income statement. Items in income statement. Following are the revenues of the ratios of revenue statement or income statement. Revenue statement or income statement. Number one, next line, gross profit ratio. Gross profit ratio. Underline. This ratio indicates the relationship between gross profit and net sales. Gross profit and net sales. Full stop. It is also known as gross margin ratio. Gross margin ratio, which is expressed as a percentage to the net sales. The formula of gross profit ratio is gross profit ratio is next line, gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit upon net sales, gross profit upon net sales multiplied by 100, multiplied by 100. Full stop. The ratio is important for analysis of basic profitability of business, basic profitability of business, full stop. It is useful in ascertaining the percentage and shows the results of the business. The efficiency and performance of the business is shown very properly. पैराग्राफ करा. A high value of gross profit ratio, indicates efficiency of sales department and have the effective control on the cost. Full stop. A low gross profit ratio shows the unfavorable position of the business Full stop. It is very difficult to lay down. It is very difficult to lay down the standard gross profit ratio. The standard gross profit ratio because business to business it is a changing or it is a changing or variable. And number two, operating ratio underline this ratio shows the relationship. This ratio shows the relationship between the operating expenses to the net sales. Operating ratio is calculated with the help of following formula. Next line. Operating ratio is equal to cost of goods sold plus operating expenses upon net sales multiplied by 100. Full stop. It measures MEASURES. It measures the efficiency of all operational activities namely administrative production and selling and distribution. The lower of operating ratio the lower of operating ratio is the better of efficiency of the business, and if the operating ratio is higher, it affects on lower profitability. Full stop. The standard operating ratio is not to be laid down and cannot be precisely told. Number 3, expenses ratios. This ratio is showing the relationship between each group of expenses to the net sales and analyze percentage to net sales. The formula of expenses ratios are next line. Manufacturing expenses ratio is equal to manufacturing expenses upon net sales multiplied by 100. Next line la. Administrative expenses ratio is equal to administrative expenses upon net sales multiplied by 100. Again, next line. Selling and distribution expenses ratio is equal to selling and distribution expenses ratio is equal to S&D expenses, S&D expenses upon net sales, upon net sales multiplied by 100, multiplied by 100. Next, number 4, net profit ratio, net profit ratio this ratio indicates, this ratio indicates the relationship between net profit and the net sales, net profit and the net sales. The formula is, next line, net profit ratio is equal to, net profit ratio is equal to net profit upon sales, net sales, net profit upon net sales multiplied by 100, multiplied by 100. This ratio is very important. This ratio is very important which can shows the net profitability, the net profitability of the business, of the business. Next, yeah, stock turnover ratio, stock turnover ratio. This is the last, stock turnover ratio. This ratio is also known as, this ratio is also known as inventory ratio, inventory ratio, which measures the number of times stock turns, the number of times stock turns, TURNS, stock turns in accounting period, in accounting period to the net sales, to the net sales. This ratio shows the relationship. This ratio shows the relationship between the inventory and the cost of goods sold and the cost of goods sold. Full stop. The formula of this ratio is next line, stock turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold upon average stock next line लिखा, whereas average stock is equal to opening stock plus closing stock upon 2. So these are the income statement ratio, which are very simple. When we are preparing the income statement in the vertical form, then we are knowing the figures and we can only using the formula of the particular ratio, same can be calculated. So from next period we are starting to the problem. And first of all, I will give you the problem first on the one day before, and then we can solve it. Okay.